So a gazillion rate hikes were a sure thing coming into 2022. In fact, Wall Street firms, they keep tripping over each other, trying to pencil in just how high they'll go. Right now, I think who's leading that? The Bank of America at 7. You know, all of this, though, on this screen was before today's dumpster fire jobs report. Now, it's not the BLS report, but it probably will help to influence the thinking over at the Fed. Just to what degree? Let's ask the man himself, Bianco Research President Jim Bianco. Jim, you know, just your thoughts here. You know, this Fed guessing game at 4 or 5, 7, it's just kind of nuts to me. Some people modeling out all the way to the end of 2023. Where do you think the Fed is right now?
Well, I think where the Fed is where the market's got it priced in, and that's 5 rate hikes this year. The guessing game is because Wall Street was very slow to come to the idea that the Fed was going to have to respond to inflation, and now there's a big catch-up on that. So 5 rate hikes seems to be where everybody's focused on, maybe 4 or 5 or so. And you're going to probably see everybody start to move towards that over the next few weeks.
So we heard from a few Fed officials in the last 24 hours after that quiet period. And to me, it seems like they're still not. I mean, the headline for Bostic, for instance, the Atlanta Fed president, was that he could see going to 5, but that's not what he was modeling himself. He was still saying 3. Is some of this misinformation or the fall of, you know, some of this fact that Wall Street's playing catch up because the Fed, in their efforts to communicate, probably keep sending the wrong signals?
Yeah, the Fed's in a tough spot. The inflation rate at a 40-year high is hurting the Democrat Party. 2 weeks ago, President Biden had a press conference, and he said, literally sentence to sentence, this is what I'm going to do about it. The Federal Reserve is going to fix it. So now the Fed's on the hook to do something about inflation. Well, they can. They could raise rates a lot and slow the economy, but that's not what they want to do. They want to hope that they can raise rates a few times and inflation will kind of go away by itself. And that's maybe wishful thinking on their part. So they're in a tough spot. Do you want them to get rid of inflation? They can raise rates 5 times and it'll slow the economy. The stock market might not like it. Otherwise, what they're hoping for is it goes away on its own and they raise rates a couple of times and call it a day.
Yeah. I think that was, with the transitory thing, probably the thinking the whole time. Let's talk about it's earnings season. These valuations are starting to come down really quickly as we get these strong earnings. Are stocks, in your mind, though, getting, in general, are they getting cheaper? Are they cheap enough to start kicking the tires here for you?
They're getting cheaper because they've come down and earnings have been good. But you've got a problem with the stock market. As they're getting cheaper, the Fed is raising rates, the economy might be slowing, and inflation is high. So stocks should be getting cheaper. And the question is, have they gotten cheap enough? And the answer is, if the Fed's going to raise rates 5 times and slow the economy, and we've got a high inflation problem, they're not cheap enough to really start nibbling on. And that's going to be a big issue as we move through 2022.
What does the ideal, with that in mind, then, what does the ideal portfolio look for you right now? I mean, percentage equities, bonds, crypto.
I'm heavily weighted towards inflation beneficiaries. So basic materials, industrials, commodities, if commodity ETFs. If you could drop it on your toe, buy it. Because I think that that's going to be the best place to be as we start to deal with this inflationary problem and potentially the Fed raising rates.
So we had Google, Alphabet earnings out. And interesting, on the call, Sundar Pichai talked about the blockchain, right? And it sounds like they're gearing up. You've been an advocate. You've talked about this longer than most people, and you know about it better than about 99% of the folks out there. How does it change? How does the landscape change as more of these names, as these behemoths, as these monopolies start to jump into the game?
It's a good question because it's a big unknown. Because the whole idea behind the blockchain, or the fancy word we use is Web3, is that it's supposed to be an internet that no one can control, no one can censor, no one needs permission to use. That's unlike what we have now. People get canceled and censored all the time. And if these big companies are going to move into that space, then by definition, they're going to lose control of the space. They're not going to be able to control it the way they are, unless they're planning on controlling it, in which case they're just going to create another version of what we already have. So it's kind of a big mystery as to when big companies say that they want to move into this decentralized place where they've made their money being centralized. I don't know what exactly their business model is, whether it's Meta, which is the old Facebook, or Google or Block, which
Right.
is the old Square. But they all seem to be headed in this direction in a big way.
And of course, we both know as much as they can, they would love to control it. And I think that's where the battle may come. Jim, always appreciate your wisdom, my friend.
That's
Thank
exactly
you very
where it
much.
will be.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Jim just talked about it. ABC benching Whoopi Goldberg from The View. This 2 days after her